Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Guys Who Stare at Stats. I'm Cade Kennedy alongside Connor Gray and Andrew Santangelo, and we have a lot to talk about today. But as always, if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment below what you agree with, disagree with, your own sports opinions. We always love to hear them. But as always, on to the show, we have the most important question of the day, of the week, whatever you want to say. We have a very simple question, but always an important question. Connor, Andrew, Connor, however you want to address that. How are y'all doing today?
Doing good. Just had a good solid workout earlier today, and just got done with it. Oh man, don't drop the camera, man.
Also, we have moment of truth for our camera because this never wants to work ever. So, excuse me while it nearly dies here. There we go. You got it. I think we have it.
We have it for now.
We have it for a moment. There we go.
Oh,
okay,
almost ran over Andrew. There we go.
There we go.
But
I love our technology.
It's been a good day.
It's been a pretty good day. It's been a good week. We'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
Cade, how are you doing today?
Well, aside from what just happened with the darn camera, I would say going somewhat well. I mean, slowly getting over this darn illness I've had for the past week, but, nothing could put me down. Blues won, Mavs won, OU didn't play, so I didn't have to watch that defense, so that's always a good day. Just got to relax for a weekend, relax for a week, somewhat relax. I mean, I don't think I can ever fully relax during a school week, but other than that, everything's been going pretty well. So getting started now after that kind of delayed intro there. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to start with college football. I'm going to throw a curveball here, start with college football instead. We had a lot to talk about. I did not think we would have as much considering some of the games, but our first one, we have to talk about quite possibly the blowout of the year. Ohio State beats Iowa 54-10, and it wasn't even that close. There's a tweet from Bill Connolly that stated that, yes, it was indeed correct. If Iowa punted on every first down, they would have done better than what they actually did. I cannot believe we finally had a game where that happened, but that's just where Iowa is right now.
Funny part is they led at one point in this game.
I know.
Yeah, that's really the big one is that they somehow they managed to get up by at least by 4 points on Ohio State. Shocking, but obviously Ohio State did what they were supposed to do, pretty much whip them. But it's like, that's what happens when Petras is your quarterback. You don't have a solid foundation, and there's really just nothing going on with them.
Yeah, and I mean, also when your entire offense is run, pass, and everyone knows that's what you're going to do, some of that blame has to go on Brian Ferentz, the quarterback coach / offensive coordinator, son of Kirk Ferentz, the head coach. That's been a thing for a while. Iowa fans wanting to get rid of him, but time will tell. Unfortunately for them, I don't think they're going to get any relief soon.
Maybe not.
But the next one to get to here, a bit bigger of a game, I would say. Clemson taking on Syracuse, and what a ride this is. The tradition of Syracuse forcing Clemson to move to a new quarterback happened once again as DJ Uiagalelei had easily his worst game of the season. Had a couple turnovers, had some bad passes, some weird play call decisions. Why are you running that man on a 3rd and 2? It's not going to happen. Syracuse knows it's coming. But Cade Klubnik comes in, and with the simple magic of give the ball to Will Shipley, your best player, Clemson they get a comeback. 27-21, Tigers with 17 points in the fourth quarter, only points scored the entire second half.
And pretty much this for the whole thing is that Syracuse had opportunities to probably either add on to their lead or do something with the ball, but Clemson did a good job for making sure Syracuse couldn't do anything on their offense. I mean, Syracuse offense wasn't really lights out or anything. I mean, a good amount of their points came from a defensive score, but Syracuse had their chance, especially near the end. They had a chance to probably do something, and Clemson's defense stepped up when it mattered. They stepped up and played like the defense they should have been playing for most of the season.
Yeah, I thought Syracuse, and I know their offense was struggling throughout the game, but I thought once they got that lead, they played way too conservative throughout most of the second half. they had chances where they could have tried for something bigger. Kind of held on to the ball, got conservative, and let Clemson's defense almost take over a little bit. But you got to give Clemson credit for battling back. The depth showed here, and then, like you said, Cade bringing in another quarterback, getting the job done, and then defense came through on that final possession. It looked like the moment was just a little bit too big there for Syracuse on that final drive because, I mean, they were moving the ball for the most part, got down to a solid position on the field, and just couldn't finish that drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a day of a lot of miscues, but the one ended up being Syracuse. Despite the 4 turnovers Clemson had, it was a Syracuse miscue, I would say, that ended it. Why did Dino Babers let 25 seconds run off the clock for literally no reason? Why did you not give your all-conference running back more than 5 carries? A lot of questions there that we may never actually get the answer to.
Yeah, but I will say, and Dabo, despite DJ getting benched, Dabo did say DJ is still their quarterback.
Yeah, that you get some of those where if a quarterback's having a bad day, hey, we're just going to put this guy in, just keep everything steady for this game, know that you're still our guy. But the next one here to get to, Alabama, Mississippi State. I know, Connor, we talked about on the show that, man, 21 feels like a lot, but it doesn't matter. Alabama's Alabama. They're going to find a way to cover, and we had history made. For the first time since 2014, Mississippi State scored a touchdown in Tuscaloosa. It took till the final play, and they still didn't get the PAT, so keep that in mind. When they play again in 2024, if they make a PAT, that would be the first PAT Mississippi State has made in a decade in Tuscaloosa. That would be an incredible stat that everyone's going to forget about until it comes up in a few years, if it even happens. It may not happen. Alabama always seems to have Mississippi State's number no matter how good they are, but Tide looking good again. I mean, it's a bounce-back week. You got to win a top 25 matchup. They take care of business.
Yeah, I expect nothing different. I mean, Nick Saban's going to have them ready to go, especially at home, and they are covering the spread once again. So it's just Alabama doing Alabama things, especially off the loss. I mean, they're not going to lose 2 in a row. That would be a stat to find out. Was last time lost 2 in a row.
Be something.
I think it was, I want to say, I know 2013 might have been it because you had the Iron Bowl loss and then the Sugar Bowl loss, but
Okay, yeah, I forgot.
there might have been some other one that happened there. It's been a little bit.
It's been a long time since they've had back-to-back losses, probably since 08 or 07.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while for the Crimson Tide, but they keep finding ways to win. They're still in this race easily.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one here, speaking of teams probably no longer in the race, Ole Miss getting absolutely bodied in Death Valley. Rebels led at one point 17-3. They always say don't let the Rebs get hot, but LSU, they let them get hot and then took it away just as quickly. Whether it be, offense, defense, special teams, LSU made the right adjustments and find a way to just absolutely destroy Ole Miss by 25.
Because I believe me and you, I think, picked Ole Miss to just somehow get out of this one in a close one, but I think we weren't expecting LSU just to come out and body them.
Yeah, I felt really good about this in the early second quarter. I was like, okay, where's everyone at that said LSU was favored? Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, well, Ole Miss still. Okay, yep, there it is. Okay, I was wrong. Whoopsies.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's what happened. Jaden Daniels, he played really well. This was a solid LSU game, and now you get a bye coming into the Bama game. Remember, Bama goes to Death Valley in 2 weeks.
This LSU team's weird, too. They just don't seem consistent. Like, one week they look pretty good, look like they'll be a top 15 team, and then the next week they struggle and they lose or pull off a close win. So this game kind of defined their whole season. They started slow, and then they found the rhythm, and we'll see where it carries them into the bye before Alabama. But, no, good win for LSU and Brian Kelly.
And another, just getting into what-ifs here, imagine if LSU makes that PAT against Florida State.
Yeah.
If we're talking about a 7-1 LSU potentially.
Undefeated in conference.
With that undefeated conference, oh, man. If they'd have that SEC West shot, not undefeated in conference, but they'd just be a game behind. They'd have a chance to make some noise.
If you get one on Alabama somehow, you're right there in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they're still there. That's the crazy thing is, LSU got rode off. Here they are.
That's going to be an interesting spread.
It definitely will be. But looking at the next one we have, it's quite possibly another madhouse game in Fort Worth. Kansas State, I mean, everything it seemed went wrong. Adrian Martinez gets injured, literally the first play of the game. You keep him through that first drive. He goes out. Will Howard comes in. He plays pretty well for the most part in the first half. K-State at one point leads 28-10, but TCU gets that touchdown right before halftime, gets that momentum boost, and the injury to Will Howard as well. And here come the Frogs. They take the lead, hold on, and get a 38-28 win. TCU they keep finding ways.
When did Will Howard get injured?
He got injured. I want to say mid-second quarter, mid-third quarter, somewhere in one of those middle quarters.
I think it was the third.
It might have been the third. I cannot remember. I was flipping
let's see the
around
scoring
games.
summary.
So that's 2 weeks in a row where the visiting team was up on TCU by a good amount, and TCU came back to win.
Yeah, TCU's got their second week in a row of double-digit comebacks, and their fourth week in a row they've beat a top 25 team. Never been done before.
I just thanks for Kansas State. You win the whole game, you lose your quarterback, and then that's why TCU comes back and wins. I mean, I really think if Kansas State doesn't lose 2 quarterbacks, they probably hold on and win this game. I think that's easy to say, obviously, after the result of it, and still only losing it by 10. But a tough game there for Kansas State, especially going into another tough game next week, going back home. But credit to TCU for never stopped battling, and they were able to get 2 straight at home where they came back and won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so TCU, they go into a little bit of unprecedented territory. I'll bring it up again on our next episode. But they go to Morgantown. That is not a friendly place for TCU. We'll talk more about that, though, next episode. UCLA and Oregon, the other big game, probably the biggest game if you go by 2 top 10 teams playing each other. Chip Kelly returns to Eugene, and he cannot pull out the win. Oregon, a 45-30 bonanza. At one point, Oregon was just absolutely dominating this game. It was 45-23 early in the fourth quarter. Bo Nix played well again. He's doing his thing. He's having fun. Insert the entire meme here.
I think the whole thing is getting away from Auburn was the best thing for Bo Nix's career, obviously, and he's played very well at Oregon. Besides, obviously, that first game against Georgia didn't go so well, but ever since then, he's gotten better and better and better, and this was probably by far his best game he's played.
Yeah, no, without question. I think it's a good win for Oregon. They're really starting to find their rhythm and stride ever since that Georgia game. And that's what it takes sometimes. The new system, new quarterback, kind of getting in the field. I mean, camp can only do so much. It takes real games to kind of get a feel for it, get a feel for your teammates, and see where you take off. And I think you're really seeing that in this Oregon team.
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix, 22 for 28, 283, 5 TDs. Oregon, with this win, they're now the team in the Pac-12. If someone's going to represent the Pac-12, it's Oregon, which I don't think anyone thought after that 49-3 loss to Georgia, but here they are.
Yeah, and I'll be curious. I think November 1st is the first.
Yeah,
this
is the last week we follow the AP poll.
It's going to be interesting to see where they kind of throw Oregon, how much they penalize them for that first week loss, just because they did get crushed by a top 4 team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how would they value that versus someone like in Alabama. They have a loss as well, but it was only by 3. So we'll see how they value that there. The next one, the big one, the homecoming comeback, Oklahoma State gets a 41-34 win over Texas, and this game had everything. It had a lot of penalties. It had a lot of bad throws. It had a lot of turnovers. It had a lot of mistakes. But it also had a lot of good plays as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much for this one is that so it's like Texas had that pretty much. It was Texas in that first half for a lot of that, but OSU made adjustments in that second half, and the offense obviously got going for OSU in that second half. I mean, Texas only scored 3 points in the second half combined. Quinn Ewers probably had the worst half of his career in regards to all the games he's played. He had a solid first half, and then everything went like. And the thing is, one thing I noticed because obviously watching this game. It seemed like any pressure that got to Ewers, like even if his lineman getting pushed back toward him or whatever, he just immediately threw the ball away toward a receiver. That it just like he cannot handle getting pressured, and just he had some really bad throws. I mean, several times he missed guys that were probably wide open going down the field, and it's like, how do you miss Xavier Worthy? It's just amazing how he missed guys. So it's amazing. A lot of that was blessing, and also Texas they kept getting penalties. They kept pass interferences because Sanders, where he throws the ball, it's like right where the receivers and the defenseman is, and it causes a penalty. While as with Ewers, he overthrew guys, so they didn't call anything. That's one where I know there were Texas fans complaining about. Well, OSU was passing. It's like, well, the ball can't be caught if it's like it's not catchable. So I don't really know what to do about that for them. But it's like OSU was doing a good job being very disciplined. They had very few penalties, and then when they did, it got offset.
Well, they had very few. They had zero.
They did. Well, they
had zero in actual penalties. They had a few that were either canceled out.
That's
or
what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
They did get some, but they got canceled out because Texas did something. So therefore had no penalty against them or any yards against them. So
we're the home team, home field advantage.
And RG3 said himself that atmosphere, especially homecoming, is probably one of the times of the year where that crowd is just rowdier than ever.
Yeah, and I mean, to add more to this, Quinn Ewers going 19 for 49. That is the first time ever a quarterback has thrown the ball 49 times and not had at least 20 completions. So congratulations to Quinn Ewers. You played quite possibly one of the worst games you could. Xavier Worthy, we talked about that. He had 4 catches. He was targeted nearly 15 times. What I didn't understand, especially for Texas, you have Bijan Robinson. You're one of the best running backs in college football right now. Why are you not using him when your quarterback clearly does not know what he's going to do? Even if you throw a little screen out to him, I'm not saying run the ball right into the teeth of the OSU defense, but do something with him. You have 2 really good running backs. You have other good receivers as well. It felt like they just kept trying to force the ball to Worthy, and it wasn't going to work.
And not only that, but when you're winning 98% of the game, like there's one thing not to want to go to conservative. Obviously, you don't want to go full conservative. Yeah. But you also do got to balance and at least take off some of the clock each when you're up 2 possessions at one point in the game. So, I mean, a lot of questionable decisions from Texas. But I thought this was the first time OSU kind of felt like themselves from last year, just from top to bottom. I know obviously you don't want to go behind by 2 scores, but just the second half adjustments, OSU lived off that last year. I thought this was the first time you kind of really saw it from this group. So hopefully that's something that can spark this OSU squad.
And I will say on regards to on Bijan Robinson, it's like he should have got more carries. Like we all agree on that. But it's like OSU, when they finally did, in that some parts in that second half, when they handed it to Bijan, OSU was just immediately stuffing him right away. He barely could get much yards. Then there was a couple times he broke some yards, and it's like, okay, feed him the ball. Instead, they had Ewers throw it. So it's one of those things where Bijan would start doing something, and then Ewers would go.
Yeah,
it's like it made no sense because like all you're doing is just killing the drive, and then when you hand it to Bijan again, he's getting hit in the backfield. You just killed momentum right there.
Yeah, it was one of those, I did not understand what Texas was trying to accomplish there in that second half. But that's why Steve Sarkisian is 10-10 in his first 20 games at Texas.
But that's also not taking away what OSU was able to do. I mean, you had to come from behind to win that game.
Yeah, keep in mind, Oklahoma State played great in the second half. They made I'm not taking anything away from what OSU did.
That was like because all of us were dogging Texas for losing that game.
I'm sorry, that's my right as an OU fan to dog Texas.
But we're being realistic about the whole thing. But we're also not trying to take away what Oklahoma State did.
Yeah, it was a good game all around for both sides. Texas, really good first half. Oklahoma State, really good second half. Mm-hmm. And the next one here cannot be said about all-around good performances. It's for Minnesota. For Penn State, absolutely. Get a 45-17 win on a whiteout Saturday night. Penn State starting to look good again. I mean, you had the rough game against Michigan. That's going to happen to a lot of teams this year. But Penn State, they have to be ready to play their A game because, boy, they get Ohio State this week.
And good for them, it's in Happy Valley.
Bad for them, it's 11 a.m.
Yeah, I don't understand how that game's at 11 a.m.
Big noon, everybody.
You gotta have that.
The best game at the best time for, people not in the stadium. The best time for people in the stadium, literally not 11 a.m.
Yeah, but for Penn State, they needed this game to be sandwiched in between Michigan and Ohio State. That way, they have someone to beat up on, get them ready for Ohio State. But we'll see how they do because obviously I know they had to go down to Ann Arbor for Michigan, but still that's still a game Penn State would like to play it a lot better in. Their defense didn't play very well in that second half. Their offense just really didn't do anything. But obviously, with it being in Happy Valley, I think Penn State will be more up. I'll obviously be up for the game. I think Clifford will play better. That defense will play more solid. They'll give Ohio State some issues, but we'll see what will happen there.
Yeah, we will see. The next one here, Cincinnati taking on SMU. This was a game a lot of people kind of forgot was happening. I don't blame them. This was one of the more sleepy games, I guess is the best way to put it. Cincinnati gets a comfortable 17-0 lead early, and SMU slowly starts chipping their way back. They make it a 2-possession game, then they make it a 1-possession game. Make it 20-14 at halftime. Bearcats start getting up, and I mean, shout out to Ryan Coe, hitting 5 field goals. That's never easy to do in a game, especially when you're called upon to hit 52-yarders, things like that. But Cincinnati gets up 29-14, and then they nearly blow the game. SMU has a furious rally in the fourth quarter, and the Mustangs cannot pull it off. They lose 29-27.
Yeah, it's like you said, no one was really paying attention to this game, and all of a sudden, SMU's trying to come back on them. So it's like, oh boy, see how this game's going. Then SMU had it right there and just couldn't convert on the 2-point conversion.
Yeah, Cincinnati, I mean, credit to them. They started out well, and then they kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit. We've talked about that in the past, seeing teams kind of do that, let go a little bit, and watching teams trying to climb back. Luckily for them, the defense was able to come up with one big stop there on the conversion and able to slow them down there. But listen, I mean, Cincinnati came out of, you expect SMU to make halftime adjustments. It was the opposite. Like, after you see how Cincinnati started that game, and they was able to start that second half just as well as they started the game, it was impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those wins you have to get if you're Cincinnati. Yeah. If you want to work your way back, win the conference again, you have to have these types of gritty performances. And they're able to find a way to do it. And the final college game we're going to talk about, we got to talk about the team no one expected. It's Tulane. Tulane ranked, first time since '98. 6 wins, first time since '98. They're 6-1. Well, not 6-1. They were undefeated in 1998. But now Tulane is 7-1, and that streak continues. They had their largest crowd they've ever had at Yulman Stadium, and it was a party for a while. Tulane at one point leading 35-0 over Memphis. Tigers came back, made it a game. Tulane, though, gets a 38-28 win. Huge win for the Green Wave. They're 4-0 in conference play. We might have to start talking about Tulane. They might win the American this year. They've come out of nowhere. They have the quality win. If they can hold on and keep riding the wave, so to speak, Tulane could be that group of 5 team that sneaks into a New Year's Six Bowl. Imagine that.
Well, for them, they have to, like you said, kind of like you're saying, like they need to basically win every game from here on out to even make a New Year's Six game if they are even given the chance to.
Yeah.
But it's like, congrats to Tulane. They pretty much they beat up Memphis. They sadly let Memphis almost have a shot to get back in the game, but they did their job to make sure they kept on winning. And there's really nothing you can say about that. But I will say that Southern Miss loss really hurts them.
It does.
Yeah. But no, again, credit to them for the start of this game. You expect Memphis to come out a little tougher and give them a little tougher game here to start, but they come out, jump out to the 28-0 lead, and yeah, they almost let them back in the game. And again, they're able to do just enough to hold on and move on to the next week.
Mm-hmm. And that wraps up our college football part of the show. Moving on to the NFL, we had quite a bit happen on a weird NFL Sunday. When do we not have a weird NFL Sunday this season? Yeah. We have a serious discussion to talk about. What is happening in the NFC? I don't know. No one knows.
No.
The Buccaneers? No. The Packers? No. All your traditional favorites? No. It's not happening. But we got to start.
I'd say the NFC East is now no longer called the NFC least.
Yeah.
Everyone was making jokes about that. It is the opposite this year.
We now have the return of the NFC Beast, Andrew. So congratulations, your Eagles leading the charge there. But we got to talk about something finally happening, and I can't believe we had to wait this long in the season to say it. But the Cardinals finally won a game at home. They broke a decent losing streak there, but the Cardinals are 3-4. Got a Thursday night win. We finally had points on a Thursday night game.
And it was a high-scoring affair.
42-34. Yeah, we had 3 games, and only one time did we have a team even get above 20. My goodness. And it took both teams getting into a shootout here. 34 for New Orleans. Considering their circumstances with Andy Dalton at quarterback, I would say they played pretty well, but it's kind of weird. Saints offense is going up, Saints defense going down.
Yeah, I think it's no accident. You look at Arizona; they had the best game of their year. Cade, you mentioned they win a home game. Their offense puts up 42 points. Let's be honest. It's no secret. I love Kyler Murray, but of course the reason why they put up this amount of points is their star wide receivers back. you saw it last year. That Cardinals were one of the best teams in the league last year. Hopkins goes down with an injury. They turned into one of the worst teams as they continue to fall, and then they were early exit. This year, obviously, they struggled throughout the season. They got Hopkins back, and they put up 42 points. I mean, that's just the key. As good as a quarterback can be, he needs weapons. I mean, you're seeing it right now with the greats and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, they're struggling partially because of who's over there, who they're throwing the ball to, and that just goes to show that's why receivers make big money, and that's what Hopkins is there for. And this Hopkins is the best player on this Cardinals team.
I will say in regards to between Aaron and Brady shouldn't be really having that much of an issue because he has Evans and Godwin back, but it's like.
But they both missed a lot of time.
That true, but even then they have played some games, while as Aaron doesn't have anyone because everyone's on the injured list.
Well, it's not that they don't have anyone in general.
Yeah, they have no receiver.
They have no receiver.
Even then, you still have little of whatever. But I will say Cardinals getting 2 pick sixes really helped them out a lot. So Murray still played well, but could have played a lot better. Also, didn't help that he got into an argument with Cliff Kingsbury. So I don't know what that situation is, but hopefully they get that resolved.
Yeah, clearly there's still issues on the Cardinals, but anytime DeAndre Hopkins is going to get 10 catches for 103, you're going to be feeling pretty good. I think that's one of those things, even with the defense getting 2 pick sixes, how much of that factor, knowing you get one of your star players by going, okay, we're at, quote-unquote full strength with Marquise Brown being injured. You're not really at full strength, but you're full strength for last year, I guess is the best way to put it. Knowing you get that superstar back, that really can be a factor, I feel like, encouraging not just the offense to play better, but the defense as well.
Oh, no, without question. And they're missing 2 of their starting weapons. They're missing Brown and they're missing James Conner in this game. So, no, even with those 2 guys out, you got Hopkins back. And again, like you said, it motivates the team. It's not just great for the offense. It motivates the team that you have this veteran presence, too, coming back, a guy that's been all around the league before in bigger games, and that's what he's able to do. And I think you're only going to see Arizona go up from here, too. And the lucky thing for them is that division's struggling all year. I mean, Seattle is in first place in that division. Geno Smith is in first place in that division. So, I mean, that they got lucky there that they were able to survive. Are they where they want to be? Obviously not. But they survived. They were only a game back now with Hopkins coming back. I think James Conner is supposed to come back this next week. So, I think it's only up here for Arizona, and I would not be surprised to see them steal the division by the end of the year.
It wouldn't surprise me either with how crazy that NFC West is, like you said, Andrew. Geno Smith, apparently the winning quarterback for the NFC West right now. What we all thought would happen 7 games into the season.
Best quarterback in the division, right?
And speaking of moving on to another game, Cincinnati, 35-17 over Atlanta. Joe Burrow looked like Joe Burrow again. 34 for 42, 481, 3 TDs. This is exactly the Bengals team we expect to see. Took a little bit, but they're finally here, at least for this week.
Well, I would say that what happens when you protect Burrow, he throws really well. Pretty much.
What a surprise.
Yeah. So, obviously, seems like the run game overall is slowly getting better. I mean, Mixon had a touchdown for 58 yards, but obviously it was mainly a pass-happy offense, which is basically what's mainly catered toward. But Bengals did a great job getting the win and beating up the Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons got behind in this game, which hurt them early because they like to kind of use a balanced attack there at the run game, kill some of the clock, and it doesn't help. We just talked about DeAndre Hopkins coming back. I truly believe, and I get they have Kyle Pitts and everything, but I think they're missing their best weapon, Cordell Patterson, who continues to be on the IR. So I think you're seeing them struggle offensively with him out in the run game and from a receiver standpoint on screens and everything. So I don't know. I think that's where Atlanta, because I was surprised Atlanta got blown out by this much with how well they've been playing so far this year, surprising some people. So until they get their best weapon back, I think they're going to see some struggles out of Atlanta.
Yeah, and the other thing here to mention, Cincinnati outgaining Atlanta 537-214. I mean, whatever they needed to do, they got it done. And also, looking at that time of possession, 33-27, Cincinnati able to control the clock a little bit better, I would say.
Well, not only that, it's just crazy to see that yardage discrepancy with 0 turnovers in the game. Like, you think, okay, if Cincinnati's going to have that big of an edge in yards, you think they're going to turn it or create like 2 or 3 turnovers, get extra possessions. But there were 0 turnovers in this game. That's how good Cincinnati's defense was able to play.
Yeah, it's been crazy to see what they've been able to do.
All right, well, I'll see you guys
All
later.
right, see you later, Connor. As we move on to our next game here, Dak is back. The Cowboys taking on the Lions. What a game this was. For 3 quarters, I really questioned, why was this happening? It's 10-6 in the third quarter. What are we doing here, guys? How good is this going to work out for the Cowboys? But story of the season, the Cowboys defense shows up, forces 5 turnovers. The Lions fumbled the ball at a 1-yard line situation. Everything that could have gone wrong for Detroit in that second half did. In that fourth quarter, you finally saw them implode a little bit towards the end. Dallas getting a 24-6 win.
Yeah, and then again, like you said, it's all Cowboys defense. I mean, Dak didn't look anything special in this game. The offense struggled at times. I think the turnover in the red zone, not only that, inside the 5, on the 1, was the big difference in this game. If the Lions score there, who knows what's going to happen for the rest of this game, whether it's going to be much closer and everything. So, no, credit to the Cowboys, though, battling through a tough game, finding a way to pull it out at the end. But again, now, the Cowboys Dak didn't look fully right, but you expect him. He's missed 5-6 weeks now, so you expect him to have to shake off a little rust, and we'll see when he kind of gets back to where he's at. I don't know when their bye week is or who they got next week. I can't remember, but we'll see when the Cowboys can kind of get. And I'm intrigued to see as he comes back. I get that CD Lamb, but I don't think the receiving corps is anywhere where it used to be. And I know things didn't end well with them and Cooper, but I think they truly miss having another wide receiver, because I just don't think Michael Gallup's that number 1 or 2 guy that they're hoping he can be. I think you need him back at the 3-4, kind of in the slot receiver spot. So I'm interested to see, too, as the trade deadline comes up, I think next Tuesday or Wednesday, if the Cowboys look to add in the receiving corps.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there because, like you mentioned, Andrew, this Cowboys team, every single time this year, I mean, as much fun as I had talking about Cooper Rush being an undefeated quarterback, none of that's him doing that. They're doing just enough to get by and let their defense take the job. But it's going to be weird to see what Dallas can continue to do the rest of the year, because they're going to run into one of these more high-powered offenses at some point, and we'll have to see how they respond. Can they beat up someone like they did the Lions today, who at times can be pretty well on offense, and other times they've been sputtering around? But we'll have to see what Dallas does there.
Well, and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Eagles fan, but it was interesting to see when they went up against the Eagles offense, who's been very good. They give up 24 quick points like that, but then the defense made the adjustments and kind of shut them down. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird to see. And like you said, I mean, when they go up against another high-powered offense like that, and who knows who that will be here in the next coming weeks. But, yeah, are they going to get off to a better start? Are they going to make those adjustments? Or is it going to be kind of like the Eagles, where that offensive team is going to jump out quick, and then they're going to have to make the adjustments there again? And it was different there for the Cowboys because Cooper Rush couldn't get them off kept losing spots on the field there. But, again, we'll see what they're able to do with a full team back like that.
We will have to see. The next one here, the Colts taking on the Titans. The Titans holding on to get a 19-10 win. This was a crazy game at times. Ryan Tannehill went down for a little bit. Malik Willis came in for a brief period of time. But no matter what happened, the Titans held on to get a 19-10 win, and now we've got a little bit more of a quarterback situation for Indianapolis, as Sam Ehlinger is going to take the Colts from here on out.
Yeah, disrespect there for Nick Foles. I mean, I don't know Nick Foles over there with Frank Wright. They went to the Super Bowl together.
Quarterback.
I was shocked when they announced Sam Ehlinger as the quarterback there, just because of the history Nick Foles had coming in and everything. And I don't know, maybe that's the agreement they had, only if he's an emergency situation. I don't know, but they're going with the rookie. We'll see what he's able to do there at the Colts. This is a big game for both teams, fighting for the division. 4-2 now for Tennessee, 3-3-1 for the Colts. So we'll see how the response is from there.
If we can just get the Colts to tie 2 more times, so they can get that 3-3-3, yeah, that nice even number.
Yeah.
Nice evenly distributed number, I should say. 3's not an even number.
Yeah, that'd be crazy to tie 2 weeks in a row.
It absolutely would be. But, man, this Colts team, I mean, it's just interesting to see how they can never get their feet off the ground. They always get somewhere. They make some progress. Then they'll take a few steps back. They'll get back to where they were. They'll take a few steps back.
I just think it's funny, and I get he's not the best quarterback, but it's funny to see the GM rip their starting quarterback last year so much in Carson Wentz. Oh, it's his fault or whatever. We didn't expect him to be this bad or not the leader and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, oh, we're going to bring Matt Ryan. He's going to be the veteran leader we were expecting to have, and he's going to turn the team around, and then this happens.
Yeah.
That he's getting benched. Because they even admitted after the game, while he had a shoulder injury toward the end of the game, this is not why he's getting benched, whether he's healthy or not. They even said those words, that it would have been Sam Ellinger going into this week. So, to me, it's just funny that, I mean, what karma for that GM after talking all that smack, and then this happens to him. So
Yeah, try to build your team up, and now you got a rookie Sam Ellinger in there, which, to be fair, Sam Ellinger, if you want a guy that doesn't get injured, that man has taken quite literally more beatings than I have ever seen anyone take in my entire life, and he just gets up, first down, and move on to the next play, let's go. But we'll have to see what the Colts do the rest of the year. Will they keep floundering around? Will they eventually put Nick Foles in? Do we have 3 different quarterbacks start for the Colts? I have no idea. But speaking of teams with turmoil, the Packers lose to the Commanders 23-21. This was an ugly game. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, not gonna lie. This was an intriguing game, and how bad of a football game can you play and still almost win? And the Packers, they found a way. They found a way to play so terrible and still put themselves in a position to win the game at the end, but still couldn't execute. I mean, when Aaron Jones is getting 8 catches for 23 yards, 8 carries for 23 yards, my bad there, and Alan Lazard's only getting 6 catches for 55. What's going on with your offense here? Aaron Rodgers didn't look that great. I mean, 23 for 35, 193. You get outplayed by Heineke at times, it felt like. You're having issues.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, while we all make jokes about Rodgers, hitting the age, he's starting to decline or whatever, I want to turn to, where's the help? I mean, I know we joked about the receiving core, but I'm not talking about that help. I'm talking about, where's the coaching help? Where's trying to draw stuff up, make things easy for this offense, find a way to get the rhythm back? It's clearly not there yet. Where's the help in the running game? I mean, you mentioned it, Jones only 8 carries for as good as he is. He's only getting 8 carries in a close game. The largest lead from either team was 9 points, and that's late in about mid through the fourth quarter. Why is he only getting 8 carries? You were also up in this game by 11 points at one point, so he should be getting more than 8. But on top of that, 8 for only 23. I get it. That's not great. So where's the run game? Where's the offensive line at? And I get it. Washington's D-line isn't bad. I mean, it's a strong point of that defense, but you got to find ways to create offense. And right now, Green Bay's not doing it. And surprisingly, I feel like the Packers' defense, for the most part, obviously they've had some hiccups, but the defense, on another note, who everyone we usually make fun of because they're losing games for Rodgers, I feel like they've been keeping them in all their games so far this year. So when's the offense going to step up?
Yeah, the answer is we have no idea. And I mean, the other thing I always look at time of possession to see. That's usually a sign of a good run game for a team if they're doing well, how they're able to control. And the Commanders held on to the ball for over 37 minutes here. Yeah. When you're able to just sit on the ball like that and keep running, I mean, Robinson gets 20 carries for 73 yards. Scary Terry has 5 catches for 73. I already mentioned Heineke. I mean, 20 for 33, you look at that and go, okay, well, that's not amazing, but that was good enough. And if you're a Packers fan, you're probably saying, oh, how is that good enough? You should not be good enough to beat our team. But when you have no help, that's 21 points almost feels like a miracle for them.
Not really. Did you watch this game at all?
I watched way more of this than I should have at times. There were moments, early on the first half I didn't watch as much, keeping an eye on the red zone. Well, then usually at the end it was like, oh, hey, by the way, look at this.
Well, I had red zone on it, and they showed the final play of the game. I don't know if you saw it or not. But I felt for Aaron Rodgers, man. They're pitching the ball back and forth, and obviously it's a long shot in general.
Yeah.
But when that ball goes out of bounds in between the lineman's legs, and Rodgers just lays there. He's not hurt or anything. He's just laying there like
he's emotionally
hurt. When is this gonna change? Like he's laying there, and I'm like, for as good as this guy's always been in his career, and I will always argue he's arguably the best, if not the best, talented quarterback of my lifetime. I just felt for him. I'm like, man, that must be so hard. For as well as you always just win, and you expect to, have maybe 3 or 4 losses in a season, get to the playoffs. They're already 3-4. We'll see where they go from here.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing that I think killed me too was you see it go through the lineman's legs, and I mean, you look at the camera shot there. There's just green grass in front of him. Yeah, we don't know what's there. He could have legitimately had 15 yards to run and get down to towards the 5-yard line. We don't know what was there. We're just, that they did all that just for it to end going through a guy's legs like a middle school game.
And they actually got pretty far.
They did.
There was at one point, I don't know, I think the receiver, and I was like, okay, if he breaks here, he might actually go the distance. And here's the thing, too, and they were at timeouts, but you knew that was going to be the final play, and I saw how far Washington was back. I think there was 6 seconds before that ball was snapped. I was almost expecting a quick route, maybe try a long, 57, 58-yard field goal. That's what I thought they were going to do, and then they start pitching it back. But I was thinking, okay, Mason, I get it. He's kind of on the older side, too, but Crosby's got a leg before, so I thought they might try that, but obviously they didn't.
Yeah, that's what I thought they would do, too, because I looked at that and went, okay, you're near midfield. This is where we're at in the NFL. You're almost in field goal range already. You just need a first down or two. I mean, I've seen teams do that before where they come out looking like they're going to go deep, and then they just throw a little quick out route or something, get a first down. Okay, field goal for the win, here we go. But I don't know. The Packers did so many things in this game that confused me. Just what are you guys doing? Just come on.
Yeah, well, I can't answer that question. I think they're getting to the desperation point. I think you're seeing the panic in the Packers, in all honesty.
Yeah, I think so. That panic button, if it hasn't already been pressed, it's right here. You have your hand on the panic button, ready to mash it. I think if you go to 3-5.
Well, especially because it's not the NFC West. It's not a struggling division as we talked about. While a lot of the teams might be struggling, you look at the Vikings. We're looking up at right now. They're 5-1, and the only loss is to an undefeated team. So that Vikings team's obviously for real. And again, I always say I think Kirk Cousins is undervalued, and I think he's a better quarterback than people give him. So that's Minnesota's division to lose at this point, and they'll get some tougher games because they're matched up with the NFC East, so they'll have to go through the Cowboys and Giants still as well. If they haven't played them already, I don't think they have, but we'll see how it all comes down to. But I looked it up when we got done with the Cowboys. Cowboys-Packers next week, so it doesn't get any easier for Green Bay.
Yep, we'll talk about that game on the next episode, but man, this is a rough stretch. You're tied with the Bears. I did not think we'd be saying that,
right?
That the 3-4 Bears would be tied with the Packers. But hey, that's football for you. And the other struggling quarterback that we all know and either love or hate, Tom Brady's Buccaneers, putting up a whole 3 points on Carolina. This was another rough one to watch. If you would have told me that P.J. Walker was going to outduel Tom Brady just at any point in this game, I don't think I would have believed you. But whether it be Deontay Foreman, whether it be Chuba Hubbard, Carolina had surprisingly one of their best running games of the year. All it took was them not having Christian McCaffrey.
Well, I mean, you talk about a struggling Packers team. How about this Buccaneers team? I mean,
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was how early in the game it was. I think it was first quarter. Maybe first possession, if not the second or third. But Brady hits Evans wide open. And
Yep.
Mike Evans, out of all receivers, Mike Evans never drops anything.
Yeah.
He's the guy you throw that home run ball to. He's the guy you throw it up to in the red zone and he catches everything. No, he drops probably one of the easiest catches he could have had in his career.
Yeah, keep in mind, that was 2 minutes into the game.
Was that okay? That's I knew it was early.
Yeah,
I just
it was their first drive, yeah.
So, but I mean, think about it. He scores there. Buccaneers are like, okay, we're back in business. No, he drops it, and then they can't get in. They can't even get a first down there. And now it's like, okay, we're gonna see the struggles we've had. But right now, they can't even get the run game going. Leonard Fournette struggles. I mean, Brady's obviously been struggling too. But yeah, you would have told me before the year that the Buccaneers would lose, or Tom Brady will lose back-to-back games to Mitch Trubisky / Kenny Pickett, and then P.J. Walker. I would have thought you were crazy. Think about it. Those are his last 2 losses. Is basically, I forget what point Pickett got hurt or whatever, and Trubisky came back in. But let's just say he lost to a rookie quarterback, and then now he lost to Walker. And it's like, what's happening?
Yeah, I mean, this is the equivalent of, say, St. Louis losing to Springfield in baseball. This would be like losing almost to like a AAA or AA type of team with how depleted Carolina is at certain positions, where it's just, I mean, and keep in mind, I've rooted for Carolina this year with Baker Mayfield being there, and even then I was struggling to watch. I was like, this is just bad. Carolina's trying to hand the game to him, and Tampa Bay keeps handing it right back.
Wait, think about what Carolina's done this year. Fired their coach, lost Baker Mayfield due to injury, lost Teddy Bridge or
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold, their backup, to injury. traded their best running back in Christian McCaffrey, traded their number 1 or number 2, depending on when to look at, wide receiver, and Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals. They're selling. I mean, how do you lose to that team?
Yeah, they sold everything this week, and now they're one game out of first in the division with a win over the Saints and a win over the Buccaneers. 2-0 in the division, 0-5 against everybody else. Just what a time to be alive, I guess. I don't know.
Sports.
Yeah, sports. And the other thing is, like, neither team turns it over. Both teams within 20 yards of each other, only 3 first downs. Everything is similar except for the score. It's just crazy. I'm happy it happened, but I still do not know how the Buccaneers did this. Because you have weapons. You have a Mike Evans, but, man, if he has one off day or even a semi-off moment, that can derail an entire game now.
Man, and obviously did.
Yep, it absolutely did. And then another one to talk about. We talked about the NFC beast and the joke about that earlier. The Giants, they needed a 1-yard stand, and they got that 1-yard stand on that final play of the game. Christian Kirk just needed that 1 extra yard to get into the end zone, but on the big catch, he couldn't finish the job, and the Giants get a 23-17 win over Jacksonville. I mean, I think the win probability tells the story of the game here. You look at it, the Jags felt like they were not in control the entire game, but they were playing well enough. Okay, they're the home team. They have advantage here. They get up 17-13. We're going through the fourth quarter. Okay, now the Giants are making a run. Okay, now they have the lead. Then they get a field goal. Okay, Jacksonville's got the ball. And they lost. They were 1 yard short. Oh, my goodness. But, I mean, if you're the Giants, this is another quality win. This is another gritty, gutsy win. This is who you are this year.
And again, you're not going to go blowing teams out because of your offense. You're going to go win close games because of your defense. And you're able to do that with a 1 yard stand there, stopping them, keeping them out of the end zone. You look at this Giants team. I mean, they just battle. I mean, they get up early here, then they fall. 2 scores there from Jacksonville, but then Giants take control before a Jaguars touchdown early in the third gives it back, and then they struggle, can't find a way into the end zone in the third quarter. But then they find a way to get things done there in the fourth, and this is what I mean. It's the way the Giants are going to be. I mean, you've seen it all year. You look at the game against the Packers. They're losing at halftime, I think, by 10. They come back and win. And this is what the Giants have, and it's going to be fun. I mean, you mentioned we're joking about the NFC Beast, but I mean, you look at it, and I don't think the Giants. Obviously, I know they haven't played the Eagles, but I don't think they've played the Cowboys yet. So I mean, you talk about beating each other up here in a few weeks. I think the Giants got 4 games here against the Eagles and Cowboys, and vice versa. Obviously, well, the Eagles and Cowboys already played once, so 3 for them. But I mean, again, why you pull this up? I mean, let's just look at their wins. I mean, you beat Tennessee 21-20, a gutsy win. You beat Carolina. Well, yeah, they're not great. Look, they just beat the Buccaneers, but 19-16. They did look at it. They won losses to Dallas. Yeah. 23-16, but again, 1 possession. 20-12 against Chicago, 1 possession. 27-22 against the Packers, 1 possession. Baltimore 24. So every single one of their games, even in a win or a loss, has been 1 possession. Talk about a gutsy group finding ways to win. The Giants are the definition of that. And you expect nothing less going to Seattle next week before a bye week. I mean, that's going to be a tough environment to play in. A surprising team there again, but can they get another gutsy win? But no, credit to this Giants team because I can't speak for everybody, but I know I did not expect them to be 6-1.
Yeah, and I mean, and we looking at the schedule here now, these next 3 on paper, your next 4 weeks you're looking at are great. At Seattle, bye week, Houston at home, Detroit at home. In theory, all 3 of those games are winnable, and you get your nice midseason bye.
Well, in all seriousness, especially, I always say division games winnable. I don't care how good or how bad you are. I mean, just look at Jacksonville last year against the Colts. Name me a game on this schedule left that's not winnable. Like, in all honesty, I'm going to pick them to lose at Seattle. I think I always play the safe card. I think they split with Philly. I think they sweep Washington. I think they lose at Minnesota. Is going to be tough. If they were home, maybe, but at Minnesota. And then, because it's at Dallas, and it's Thanksgiving, I'm going to give Dallas a sweep this year, which is going to surprise some people. So I'll say they finish with, what's that, 4 losses. So.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those crazy type of years, I feel like, in the NFC. We very well could see multiple NFC East teams, and by multiple, I don't mean 2, I mean 3.
So I mean,
in the playoffs.
I'm gonna So I know I'm kind of elongating this, but I'm going to ask you this question because I know it's always a topic, and I'm sure we'll get to it later in the year once playoffs actually come around. But, I mean, since the NFC is playing really well right now, how do you feel about the whole division winners getting the higher seeds? I mean, because you look at it, while the Eagles are undefeated, sitting 6-0, and the Giants are now 6-1, Giants technically are now the 5 seed, though, not the 2 seed. They're sitting at the 5 because you have the other 3 division winners in front of them. Do you think that's right? Do you like the format, or would you say let's just do best record, kind of forget about divisions a little bit, go more conference style like the NBA does? Because that's been always the debate. I personally like divisions. I'm one of the few maybe at this point, but
yeah, to me, I think the best example of what I see as a perfect. I don't think you can ever get a perfect system. There's always something you can fix. I'm a let as many teams in as possible type of person. I wouldn't mind if we had every NFL team in the playoffs. I'm sure that would annoy nearly everybody.
that would be a little far.
Yeah, that's how I see it though. I want to see everyone get their shot, no matter how bad they are. Because my goodness, would you not want to see an 0-16 team a few years ago make a shot? That'd be give everyone a shot. But I personally, let's look at the NFC South as an example this year. You have Tampa Bay, who's 3-4. You have Carolina, who's 2-5. You have Atlanta, who's not that well. You have New Orleans, who I think is 2 wins as well. Atlanta, I think, is 2 or 3. If that entire division, if your best team, let's say the Buccaneers, no, I don't know their schedule off the top of my head, but let's say they go, 7-10 or 8-9. They just have an ultimate disaster of a season. You should not be rewarded for beating up on 3 equally bad teams when the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles have played better teams than you, but because they lose those games, oh well, sorry, you get home field advantage against them. To me, I don't like that. I like the NBA style of everyone gets their shot just for these reasons. They're very rare. They're far in between. I know there was one year in the NBA it happened where Portland won the Northwest, and they were not that good. They were a 42-40 team, but I think the Thunder had Westbrook and Kevin Durant were both injured that year. You had the Timberwolves, who were not that good yet. You had a lot of tanking going on, or not as good, still rebuilding teams, and they get rewarded with home court advantage. And Memphis swept them off the floor. Now, to be fair, Memphis earned it. They got their win, and I could see where people would say, okay, you still got to prove it, and they did. What's the big deal? Memphis was the better team. They should have every advantage given to them, in my opinion. And, I mean, there are some people I know who say the opposite and things like that. And, okay, well, they're the worst team, so they've got to go prove it. They got to go up there. And that's what I tend to agree with. But there's an argument I heard one time, and I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, here's the ultimate twist you could pull. Okay, you won the division. Prove it. Go on the road and win. You won the division. Congratulations. Let the other team have the advantage. And I looked at him and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you ever do that? But he was like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see for a change.
My counter to that, though, would be, well, if you're really the better team, go prove you can win on the road, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's always fun. Like you said, there's no perfect way to do it. You're not going to please everybody. There's going to be people happy, mad about it, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's always an interesting argument, though. I mean, yeah, like you had, Seattle go on the road. You had Seattle 7-9 that year. Host, I think it was a good Saints team, maybe. And that's when you had the Marshawn Lynch run.
Yeah.
But, I'll read you this right now. If the season ended today, and obviously we got a lot of weeks left, but Eagles would have the first round bye. You have a 3-3 Rams team. Why is that doing that? You have a 3-3 Rams team going to the Vikings 5-1. That makes sense. Here's where it gets interesting. Now you have a 4-3 Seattle team because they won their division, hosting a 5-2 Cowboys team. And then here's the crazy one. You have a 3-4 Buccaneers team hosting a 6-1 Giants team. So that's when the argument comes out and everything. And it's an interesting argument. And I kind of want to talk about a little bit when we get into the baseball segment of it, because I hear a lot of people complain about their format. But just sticking with the whole division winner stuff or the better team, you look at it this year. The Mets won 100-plus games, but they had to play in the first round instead of getting that bye, unlike some of the other teams. I know this year was weird, but like I guess I kind of get mixed up there because the Cardinals ended up having to play anyway. But anyway, the Cardinals won their division, but on paper the Cardinals got the lesser team, while the Mets won 100 games and had to play, if you go by record, a tougher Padres team. So that's kind of where it gets interesting too. Is the Mets won? I mean, what did the Cardinals finish with? Like 89, 90
Cardinals
range?
won, I think, 92.
92. So the Mets, I think, were 101, 102. So they're 10 games better essentially than the Cardinals, but they were out there, quote unquote, playing the tougher team. So it's always an argument. So, like you said, you're never going to please everybody, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. You can never truly be happy with anything in sports because someone will disagree with you.
Right.
But the next one here, the Browns and the Ravens, a big game last year. Not as big of a game this year, it seems like, but still had a fantastic finish. Ravens getting a 23-20 win over Cleveland.
Well, no, it was a pretty big game. You look at the records now, 4-3.
Big game in terms of record-wise, not in terms of standings-wise.
Well, no, that's all my point. Like, if the Browns turn around and win this game, they're sitting at 3-4, while the Ravens are sitting at 3-4. So
yeah.
I mean, and we all know the Steelers have been struggling too, and Cincinnati struggled to start the year. So every division game counts at this point. But and it was a good game for the most part. I mean, you had the Browns kind of get off to a quick start, and then they kind of struggled a little bit, and Lamar Jackson found his groove a little bit. And credit to Gus Edwards, first game back, and he found a rhythm. So hopefully, maybe for the Ravens, they can get the run game going a little bit more.
He absolutely did. Lamar, I mean, it's always weird seeing a team only throw the ball 16 times in the NFL with their starting quarterback. Yeah. But, I mean, when you go 9 for 16, it's not a good sign usually. But they're the Ravens. They're built around the run. They can withstand some of those days. But, man, this game was it was a bit wacky. I'll say that. A lot of weird things happening at the end. The Ravens look like they're trying to put it away. They can't put it away. Browns try to come back. They can't do anything. Cade York misses a 60-yard field goal at the end of the game to send it into overtime. It just felt like two teams that neither one could finally pull away.
No, exactly.
And then speaking of teams not being able to pull away or just having a rough day in general, the Denver Broncos. No Russell Wilson. And so Brett Rypien comes in and he goes 24 for 46. He goes 225 and a pick. My goodness, the Jets are 5-2.
Right, 5-2
They're
Jets.
4-0 on the road. They get a 16-9 win. So it wasn't just a Russell Wilson thing. What a surprise. That offense still can't put points up on the board.
What a year for New York, man. Yankees have a great season. Mets have a great season. They get bounced early. Now I have a 6-1 Giants team and a 5-2 Jets team. Hey, New York, the city of regular season wins. Is that where we're going at here? But I mean, credit to this Jets defense. I mean, they're winning games left and right for them. Unfortunate there, see Hall go down now. He's out for season for a nice start to his NFL career. But I mean, hey, credit to the Jets. They're like, you know what? We're 5-2. We're not going to waste any time. Let's go get another running back. See if he can continue to help us. See if he can help us steal some more games. And they go out, trade with Jacksonville, and get James Robinson, who's shown signs in the NFL. So credit for the Jets front office. They're like, you know what? Because this is what I love, is when you're not supposed to be good, but you turn out to be better than everyone's expecting, and you're like, you know what, we're still going to go out and try for it. And that's what the Jets are doing, and power to them, and hopefully it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing with house money right now. No one expects them to be this good, and they're just going to keep riding that wave. The next one here, the Raiders and the Texans, a bit scary for the Raiders for a while. You get down 20-17 going into the fourth quarter. But Josh Jacobs gets 3 TDs, 143 on 20 carries. The Raiders have that big fourth quarter push, and they get that 38-20 win. But, man, for 3 quarters, it was like, oh, okay, do we have that upset alert going on? But, I mean, credit to Las Vegas. They found a way.
Hey, they found a way because of Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs' takeover game. 3 touchdowns in this game. And they get a defensive interception return for a touchdown to seal the win. So, credit to the Raiders. Took advantage of a bad Texans team, kind of played with them a little bit before wearing them down and pulling away. But this is a game the Raiders needed. They needed a motivational win to kind of get things going and find a way to take over. And you saw it in this game. And they need. I mean, I expected the Raiders to be better. And obviously it's going to be tough to catch the Chiefs and the Chargers. But with the extra wild card team now, that's always in play. So if the Raiders can go out and start winning a couple games, maybe you can see yourself 500. We'll talk some playoff maybe down the stretch.
Maybe. We're almost to that halfway point. It's hard to think about, but
it's unbelievable.
I know. Time really does fly when we get to football season.
I mean, even just I mean, obviously you follow Northwestern sports and everything, and I'm working, but you look at that schedule. I mean, we have one home soccer game left. We have only 2 home volleyball games left. We have 1 home football. Like, it feels like we just started the season.
I know.
And all the fall sports are starting to come to a close the regular season.
Yes, and basketball season's around the corner.
Right.
The NBA and NHL, we haven't even gotten to them yet, really. But they're underway now. I mean, college basketball's getting ready to start. We're truly at that crossroads now, basically, with sports. Some are starting to end, some are beginning, some are getting to the midway point. Whole lot going on right now.
Always.
And then the Seahawks and the Chargers. Speaking of things going on, having a 4-3 Seattle. I know we talked about it earlier. Just going in and whipping the Chargers at times. And, man, a 37-23 win for Seattle. Geno Smith, 20 for 27. 210, 2 TDs, and a pick. And Herbert, 33 for 51. 293, 2 TDs, and an interception for him. So another weird Seattle game, as always. They always have some of these. Austin Eckler just couldn't find anything. 9 carries, 31 yards. Just not an overall good performance for the Chargers. But anytime Kenneth Walker breaks off some of those runs, he goes from 168 to 2 TDs. Seattle, I don't know. At the beginning of the year, I kind of felt like this is one of those joke teams where, oh, hey, they're going to get 2-3 wins out of nowhere. Uh-oh, here they come. But they kind of started proving themselves a little bit.
No, absolutely, and credit to him. And credit to we always talk about how Mike Tomlin keeps the Steelers in games. He keeps them in games. They find ways to win, and he'll always be around 500. I feel like a coach that's never really talked about that much is Pete Carroll. And I feel like hopefully this is a year maybe that does that a little bit more. I get it. Yeah, he's been well respected and everything, but I mean, for him to have this team where they're at 4-3 and everything, so far in this early going into the season, obviously we still got just about over half, if not a little bit more than half, left. I mean, we'll see where they go from here and everything. And there's still a lot going, and you get a lot of division games left. But I mean, running through their schedule, they got Giants, Cardinals, Buccaneers, Raiders, Rams, Panthers, 49ers, Chiefs, Jets, Rams. So obviously, you take out those division games in themselves, you're still looking at a pretty tough out-of-division schedule there. I mean, Giants, obviously 6-1, just got done talking about them. Buccaneers, while I get they're struggling, I don't care how bad they're struggling.
It's Tom Brady.
I'm not counting Tom Brady out. Raiders, if they get going, I'll say Panthers is an easy game. 49ers, it's division, at Chiefs, and then Jets. So it's not an easy road there for Seattle. We'll see where they end up. But they got some good wins already, though. I mean, I'm going to count division here. You beat the Cardinals. I'm going to count that as a solid win. Chargers by double digits is a solid win. And we'll see they go from here. But no, power to Pete Carroll. I mean, no one expected them to be here, but he's finding ways to win with Geno Smith. And he found a way to win this game even with DK getting hurt and going down. So they lost a weapon there. We'll see if they get him back pretty quick.
Yeah, it is going to be a wild time for Seattle because you look at some of these games. I mean, Arizona, that's a team you already beat once before. Tampa Bay is winnable, like you said, though, Andrew. Tom Brady, always hard to beat. You look at that 3-game stretch there at Arizona, Tampa Bay at home, or not Tampa Bay, at home. It's the London game. And then a bye week, and then you get Vegas at the Rams, and then Carolina. You look at that stretch there. Once we get November, there's some winnable games there still, I think, for Seattle. It's weird to say it, but with how the NFC West is, I'm going to throw it out there.
No.
We could see that 8-9, 9-8 Seattle if they get a lot of breaks to go their way, and they've already gotten some, and they're proving themselves now. This could be a team that might find their way into the playoffs.
No, without question. And there's two. And it's funny is 2 of those 3 losses, you're sitting there kicking yourself. I mean, Atlanta should have been a win, and the Saints should have been a win. I mean, just be real. I mean, I think that was Winston was out at that point. I think Andy Dalton was in there. I think that was the Taysom Hill game. I think he had a really good game.
Yep.
And I mean, so I think if you're Seattle, obviously you got to move on. But like as fans who break down the schedules and stuff, you're sitting there, you're kicking yourself with those 2 games. And it'd be if you're able to take care of business in those 2, it'd be crazy if we're talking about a 6-1 Seahawks team.
Yeah, we talk about how Geno Smith is actually better than Russell Wilson. Yeah. Look at the record. And then the next one here, Christian McCaffrey makes his debut for the 49ers. And man, it went well for a half. Then the second half happened. Kansas City getting a 44-23 win. Mahomes going off, having a good day. And, man, this Niners team, every time it seems like something good starts going their way, equal and opposite reaction. We got a Jimmy G's law here going on. For every good thing, there's an equal and opposite bad thing for San Francisco.
You know my feelings on San Francisco and Jimmy G. You never can trust him, and while I love the Christian McCaffrey pickup, I think they're going to continue to struggle offensively. I mean, you never want to face the Chiefs. I think this was the week after the Bills game, right? Or was that 2 weeks ago already? But you never want to face Chiefs after a loss. I think it was last week against the Bills, and they were able to come out here, take care of business. Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, and they dropped 44 on you. And I'll tell you what, they're starting to get Juju Smith-Schuster more involved in their offense here, and I think that's when it's going to get a little scary once they get him Hardman going. I think it took a little bit there to get going, but Chiefs are in business right now.
And I mean, the stretch that really sealed the game, these are always brutal to have, but when it's a 28-23 game, you give up a touchdown, and then just a minute later, safety, and then another touchdown. When you get those 16-point sequences like that, they really are game killers.
Speaking of safeties real quick, I can't remember the teams. It was like either low, like D1 FCS or whatever. Or I always get them mixed up, FCS. Or it was maybe D2.
Yeah, the four
but
safeties.
It was 4 safeties, yeah. I can't remember what
I
level
want to say
that
it was Weber State. I want to say it was FCS. I remember
FCS,
that.
okay. But yeah, I just thought that's funny. It's 4 safeties. 'Cause I was going to bring it up because I know I joked on here before about usually the team that gets a safety, I feel like they lose. I'm like, well, the exception might be 4 safeties.
Yeah. Kansas City.
That's worth a touchdown at that point.
Yeah, Kansas City broke that tangent, basically. They broke that streak. They got a safety and won a game. Now, keep in mind, they were up 14 points with 8 minutes left, so if they would have lost, we'd probably be talking about other things, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there if the safety curse lives on, or if it just doesn't affect Kansas City because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, Kansas City's Kansas City.
But the next one, Sunday Night Football. Why was this game on Sunday night? Can we not add flex games after like week 5, please? Miami gets a 16-10 win in Tua's return. Man, Kenny Pickett had a lot of chances to win this game, but some untimely interceptions and a whole lot of just disappointment for Pittsburgh. And I mean, I get it. You're 2-5. It's a rebuilding year. You've switched quarterbacks. You've done just about everything under the sun so far, but this is going to be one of those you're going to look back and go, man, just one drive. That's all you needed in the second half was one drive, and they couldn't get it without an interception at the end.
It's fine. I thought Miami would kind of come out of here with the opposite. I thought they'd struggle early. Tua would start to find his rhythm again after being out for so long, and then they kind of have a good second half and find a way to not necessarily pull away, but win in the second half. But it's the complete opposite. Tua came out firing, got the team going. I know they settled for some field goals there in the first half, but in the end, he came out, got him 13 points in the opening quarter, 16 in the half, and then defense took care of business in the second half. So no, it was a weird game there in the second half. But yeah, I thought it'd be the opposite for the Dolphins, but credit to Tua starting quick.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those. It was a tale of 2 quarters. Each team forgot there was a second half. But there was a tale of 2 quarters for sure. But what a weird game that was between those two there. And then the final game, Monday night game. Oh my goodness, the Patriots are also in this 3-4 boat, and so are the Bears. Bears, I think, are happy to be 3-4 though. This is a improvement for them. Justin Fields, I mean, he played okay, 13 for 21, 179, a TD and a pick. But Mac Jones getting benched, Bailey Zappi coming in, and oh boy, it didn't really fix anything. It started well for the Patriots when they put Zappi in, but the Bears getting a 33-14 win. Getting 2 picks off Zappi in the fourth quarter when the Patriots are trying to do anything to get the ball moving. But a solid win for the Bears as they forced 4 turnovers.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the Bears we always know is live by that defense, and they came out here and created turnovers, got the job done. But yeah, no, good win for the Bears. See what they're able to do with the rest of the season here, because, I mean, we talked about it. Well, obviously the Vikings are in a good spot. The rest of that division struggling, and maybe you can find a way to somehow steal a wildcard spot like that.
Yeah, we will. We'll have to see for sure. Just what a wild weekend, and man, I don't know how to feel about the NFC. It's just when I see games like this, it's like, okay, what is happening? Just what is this entire conference? The Eagles and Vikings are good. The Giants and Cowboys are good. I don't know who's good after that. I really don't.
They don't know either. I mean, here's the thing, though. I get the struggles are a lot, but I just can't give up on guys like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I just feel like at some point there's going to be a spot in the season, and I'm not saying they're going to go on a 10-game win streak, win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm just saying at some point I feel like they're going to click and be like, okay, this team's dangerous again. They're going to find a way to steal a couple games, and we'll see. We'll see when it's all said and done.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because if you're the Packers, you lose to the Cowboys, and oh boy, that's 4 straight losses. You're in panic button mode. And I mean, that's weird to say halfway through the season, but that's where you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, you're already 2.5 games back of that division. I mean, they already lost to Minnesota once in week 1 or week 3.
It was week 1, I believe.
Week 1, yeah. So, I mean, you're going to have to obviously beat Minnesota there in the second game if you want any hope in that. There's one game you get to make up. The rest are going to need help from everybody else to take care of business. But that team's struggling there. But and here's the crazy thing is, like you mentioned, you have the Eagles, Giants, and Cowboys. Then you have the Vikings and Seahawks. So you only have 5 teams. Only 5 teams in the entire conference are above 500. And 3 of them are in one division.
Yeah.
Now you go to the AFC. I mean, just count it while we're on the topic. You got 1, 2, 3. You got 3 in the East and the AFC as well. Then you got 2, so that's 5 there, 6, 7, 8. So you got 8. So you got 8 in the AFC compared to 5 in the NFC. So.
Yeah, so the AFC a little bit more balanced. The NFC, just who knows?
No, I mean, it's up for grabs. And here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I love the Eagles. But while the Eagles are 6-0 right now, we'll see what happens down the stretch. I mean, you still got a rookie a young quarterback. Second year as a full-time starter. You still have a second-year coach. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but who knows what's going to happen. I mean, Giants are right there. A couple games, go here and there, a couple plays. And, Giants still 2 against the Eagles. Now you're flipping them. So I'm just saying, it's still wide open to your point. You don't know what's going to happen in the NFC. And, again, once Rodgers or Brady, if they get into the playoffs, you can't count them out no matter home or away.
I know. It's going to be a wild time. But speaking of playoffs, we have one more sport to cover, because on Friday the 28th, the World Series begins, and it's the team everyone expected versus a team quite few expected. Houston takes on Philadelphia in what will be hopefully a fun series. I mean, unless the Phillies sweep, then you might have more fun than anyone else, Andrew. But let me just get your opinion on this. Just the ride so far, scale of 1 to 10, you're getting to the World Series. Is there any way you're not at a 10 on the excitement scale? I mean, I don't know. I'm genuinely curious. It's been a while since the Cardinals have made it. So I know I felt the same way when the Blues had their big run in 2019. You always have these fun, unprecedented stories. But, I mean, just take us through the ride Philadelphia's been on, or your ride as a fan, whatever you want to go on.
No, I mean, it's been incredible. I mean, to your point, it's obviously a 10. It's beyond a 10. And I'm not going to go, obviously, through the whole season, but I'll start real quick on opening day, because it's like, okay, you bring in a guy like Kyle Schwarber, you bring in a guy like Nick Castellanos, you got Wheeler and all the top of the rotation. It's like, okay, yeah, you put in World Series, maybe not that, but you go, okay, this team's going to be a division contender, they're going to be a playoff contender, but then all of a sudden, you're 50 games into the year, you're fired your manager, you're 22 and 29, and it's like, okay, yeah, what's the World Series shot at this point? It's a lot longer than you expect. Odds are a lot higher than you expected coming into the year. And all of a sudden, a new manager, new voice changes things. And since he took over, the Phillies have the 3rd best record in all of baseball. And that's where, again, this is what's fun about baseball is if you have pitching, you can go as far as those pitchers take you. And that's where, okay, you found a way. You got the help you needed from the Marlins. Then you clinch against Houston. So it's funny that's the way it works out is you're going against a team that you clinched against, where if they would have beat you, you might have been out of the playoffs. So you get in by beating them, and then now it's like, okay, Nola and Wheeler, 2 aces, how far can they take you? And you get lucky with a 3-game series. You're able to take both of those 2. And then same thing, you get a good Braves team, and you're able to split on the road, go home, take both at home. And then San Diego, you split on the road, then you take all 3 at home. And that's just been the recipe is you rode these 2 aces into this playoffs, and then he rode him here in the playoffs, and you got hot bats in Schwarber. He's got that's the thing. The Phillies are a streaky team, so that's what concerns me a little bit about this. Is are those hot bats going to continue, or are they going to go cold at the wrong time? And you see it with Schwarber. I mean, he didn't have a hit in the first two series. I think he ended up getting one toward the end of the Braves series, but basically the first two series in the Cardinals and Braves. Then all of a sudden he hits three or four home runs in the championship series, and people are talking about can he possibly get MVP? And that's the thing. Before Harper hit the home run and against San Diego there to win it, I mean, it was kind of up to the grabs. You could have four guys. You had Wheeler throw 2 great games. You had obviously Harper. Then you had Hoskins have 5 home runs, and then Schwarber. So you had 4 guys who could have won the MVP in that series before Harper did it. But no, it's been an incredible run. And as a Cardinals fan, I'm sure you've been through it too, is when you're expected to be good and everything, obviously, yeah, I'm not complaining. Yeah, it's fun. But, like, what's the journey like this through a team that has so many up and downs, it makes it that much better. Like, when it's not as expected, it adds so much value, in my opinion, and maybe everyone doesn't feel that way. But that's the way I feel. Like I said, you're 22, 29, you just fired your manager. Bryce Harper gets hit in the hand, broke his thumb. He's out for a while, and you still find ways to overcome everything and get here. So, to me, that adds a lot, and to the city, it adds a lot, too. I mean, you look at they haven't been in the playoffs in it was 11-year playoff drought. You sneak in, and it's like, okay, you got in finally. You get the experience, move on to next year. But no, you have the surprise run, and now 13-year drought of the World Series you end. So, no, I couldn't be more. To answer your question, too, it's beyond a 10, and it's been an incredible ride. And hopefully it's not done. Hopefully you find a way to get 4 more.
Yeah, so you got to find your way to get 4 more. It begins October 28th. We're not going to go too much into dissecting pitching matchups and hitting and all that. We'll do that tomorrow when we do our predictions, kind of how we think at least the first 2 games will go here on Friday and Saturday. But any other closing thoughts here, Andrew? We've covered football. We've covered baseball. Haven't really talked. We mentioned basketball and hockey. Believe me, they are having games.
It's been a long year. We talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about them once we get to the end of other sports here. We got baseball to wrap up. We've only got just 1 or 2 more weeks, and then we're done with baseball for professional. We'll get college baseball, of course, later on in February, and then spring training will begin at some point. But any other closing thoughts to take us off with for this episode?
Yeah, I'm gonna pose a question to you that I've been asking people, and I've said this for a while. I just want to throw it out there. I'm not saying this because it's helped the Phillies in this postseason. I've said this for as long as I can remember because I've always felt this way. I truly believe in baseball, especially. I don't know about other sports, but I love the fact that the Phillies. Well, I love it because of the Phillies, but I truly believe the team that quote unquote doesn't have home field advantage, to me, actually has an advantage. And I say that because if you're good enough, obviously, to be in the World Series or whatever, how far you get in the playoffs, you're good enough to win home or away. And again, I'm going to say the Phillies because they're here, but you have a guy in Wheeler and Nola, you're probably not going to lose 2 straight. I mean, they're both solid top-tier pitchers. You'll probably steal 1 on the road. So now, if you steal 1 on the road, you go back and you got 3 straight at your park. Go take 2 of 3. Obviously, yeah, 3 is the dream. You win, clinch it at home. But go take 2 or 3, which is very doable at your home park. And then, worst case is you're going back to that road spot 3-2. And again, you're lined up then to have your aces. And all you got to do is split again. So to me, and I get it, yeah, you always want Game 7. Yeah, that obviously Game 7 could be an outlier or whatever if it ends up being 3-3. But my point is, again, if you're that good in a World Series, you're probably not dropping. Obviously, there's outliers, but you're probably not losing 2 or 3 in a row. And that, to me, is the recipe for any team that doesn't have the home field, and this year it's the Phillies. If you're able to split 1 on the road, go take 2 or 3 at your park, and now you're up 3-2, and I'm taking my chances winning 1 of 2 in that spot, especially with guys like Wheeler and Nola. Or if you flip it, say the Astros, if they're in that spot, you're taking your chances with Verlander and Valdez. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my theory. I don't know how you feel on that, but I've always felt that way, especially in baseball. Because don't get me wrong, obviously, yeah, the Phillies stadium was allowed and other places are allowed to. So home field is to an extent. But I don't know if I brought this up on the show too, but I've said it to other people, especially when I went to the Cardinals-Phillies game, and I always find it funny in baseball. Because you go to a football game, and I know you know this being an OU fan, you go to a game, tie game, whatever, close game, you have a big offensive play. What are you doing as a crowd? You're telling everybody to be quiet because you can hear the plays. But have you ever thought about it in baseball, where if it's a 3-2 count, big spot, and you're batting or pitching, you're as loud as can be.
Yeah.
So where's the and again, obviously there's an advantage. I'm not saying there's no home field advantage, but I always thought that was funny in baseball is whether you're pitching or hitting, and it's a 3-2 count or whatever the count is in a big spot, you're trying to be as loud as can be to one, distract the pitcher, or one, distract the hitter. But either way, it's like a disadvantage. In that sense.
To me, this actually brings up an interesting point because the Padres had the similar story against the Dodgers. You know, they go into that game. They're just needing to split one and then go home. They get that split. They go to Petco Park. That place is about to explode in the fourth game. They're dancing in the rain. They're about to, storm the field, it felt like, with how crazy they were going. But I'm glad you mentioned football because there's a growing trend, and I don't like it, of fans not knowing basic game etiquette. I was at the K-State OU game this year, and I mean, this has happened not just at college, this is professional too. And OU has this big 4th and 1, and they're trying to move down the field and convert, and the PA announcer's still talking, the Roughnecks fire their guns at the wrong time, and the entire crowd, yeah, go for it, go for it, go for it, and the entire crowd's chanting, making noise, and I'm just like, it is 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Stop being loud.
Exactly.
We need to be quiet so our offense, and then sure enough, they get a false start because they're trying to run as fast as they can. Everyone's making as much noise as possible. It's like, come on, guys. It's 4th and 1. We'll celebrate if we get it.
Yeah.
Don't celebrate a 4th and 1 before you convert the 4th and 1. And I mean, we're seeing this in more sports. Basketball, you can't really do it because of how fast it goes. You know, you can't really. I don't think you could psych someone out when you're chanting and loud most of the game. Baseball and football have that kind of weird similarity where a crowd can really dictate a game.
But even in basketball, to that point, real quick, you're at the foul line.
Yeah.
If your guy's shooting a foul shot, you're as quiet as can be.
Yeah.
You want to hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
If the opposing guy has the ball shooting the foul shot, you are as loud as can be trying to distract him. But same thing. I mean, I feel like you have the ball 10 seconds. I mean, you kind of feel the anxiety and the intensity build in the crowd. But you're not chanting, let's go, whoever your team is, when your team's trying to get the game-winning buzzer-beater shot or whatever. Yeah. But sure enough, if that opposing team has the ball trying to get that buzzer-beater, you're as loud as can be trying to distract them. So I always thought that was funny in baseball. I don't know. Man, that's just something throughout that second part with the whole the loudness. I always thought that came out this year when I went to the Cardinals game, Phillies-Cardinals game in St. Louis, because I'm sitting there like, man, Phillies are winning right now, but fans it was at that point it was 0-0 and 3-2 count, and Cardinals fans are going crazy for Pujols, but then it just reversed. It was like a 2-2 count with Harper, and fans are as loud as I'm like, where's the advantage at that point? If you like,
we're just excited.
No, I'm saying like,
I'm not even messing with that. I'm just like, I guess it's just fans. Yeah. You're just excited. You're just in the moment, and you want to do whatever you can. And some fans realize it, and some don't. But being loud does not help your guy. It hurts. It is not a good idea. You know, how would you feel if I came to your job and screamed at you in excitement? It'd throw you off your whatever you're doing. It's one of those things that I always just find funny that I don't know why fans do it. And I mean, we're all guilty of it at times when there's a big moment or something we celebrate, then we realize it didn't happen or something like that. And I'm not talking about that, but just guys, we need to go back to fan school and realize, hey, here's do's and here's don'ts. Do not give the other team an advantage while you are the home team. Come on, guys. What are we doing here?
The other one that drives me crazy in football, because I've felt it at OSU games before too. I'm sure OU's the same way. But is when you're about to go kick, it doesn't have to be a game winning, but when you're about to go kick a huge field goal and it gets really loud, and it's like, guys, just be quiet. Let the guy go, get the snap, let it get off, let him place it down, and then kick that field goal. I feel like that field goals get so loud, I think it's just the anxiety building up and the intensity of the moment. But it's like, it's funny. But
it is, and I mean, some of that is just like, okay, guys, we're trying to win the game here. Let's give ourselves every advantage, please. Just, I don't know what we're doing sometimes, but my goodness, it's always a fun discussion to have on do's and do-nots when it comes to things like that. But to your point, I agree. I think it does play somewhat of a disadvantage at times where we see these road teams, and I mean, whether it be football, I mean, we've had the road warrior teams sometimes it feels like where they'll go, back to back to back wins on the road or something like that. It's one of those weird things that, to your point, Andrew, I mean, it's not wrong. It's certainly not this year in the National League where everybody seems to get these big road wins going for them.
Doesn't the NBA, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't they do 2-2-1-1-1?
Yes, they do 2-2-1-1.
And again, that's where I'm like, okay.
They used to do 2-3-2, and I remember that Dallas had that help them, didn't really help them, but they had that when they played Miami both times. And I mean, the first time Dallas gets up 2-0 on the road, they come home, they plan a parade in 2006, thinking they're going to sweep Miami, and the crowd's so anxious and loud and excited in Game 3, and then they get beat up at home. And then it happened again in Game 4, so Miami's got, okay, we're coming back home to Game 5, and everyone's a bit more, calm. It's not 0-2, it's not panic button, it's a reset. They go win Game 5, they go to Dallas, and everyone's sitting on their hands. They're just, okay, we're really going to blow an 0-2 lead here. And then they lose. And, I mean, it's hurt the Mavs, then it helped the Mavs the next time. And, not 0-11, that's not how you say that.
Well,
in 2011.
Wrong, technically.
Yeah.
In 2011. The 0 is in front of the 11.
Yeah, the 0 is in front of the 11. I don't know. I've always found that funny, too, how we do O's and then we just stop. I mean, it makes sense for numbers, but it's kind of funny. Just for years in general. Just, we don't say 0-10, we just say 10.
I always thought that was funny, too, is when you say, oh, my team's 6-0. Not 6-0. It's O is a letter, guys. Yeah, it's not a number. The Eagles aren't 6-0. They're 6-0. Like O is a letter.
They're 6 in offense, Andrew. That's what they are. They're 6 in offense. Just think about it like that. It'll hurt your brain even more. But I mean, it is one of those weird things in sports where I don't know. Sometimes I like being the road team. Same thing happened to the Blues in 2019. They go on the road to Boston and split. And they come home, and it's absolutely deafening at the Enterprise Center for Games 3 and 4. So it's one of those weird things that, I don't know, I'm not going to take the time to go through and look up every historical series because that would take way too many hours off my life. But I'm sure if you look at it, it's probably closer than people would think when it comes to, is home field advantage really real?
No, I do agree with that. I honestly think... If we actually dove into it, I wouldn't be surprised. And like you said, we don't know the numbers, so I'm not saying this is factual. But I wouldn't be surprised if the winner of Game 1 have a statistically higher rate of winning the series than the actual home team itself. That makes sense.
That wouldn't surprise, because I think I remember they said that even during the wild card. It's like teams that win Game 1 win 70-something% of the time. And I was like, oh, it's a nice fact if Helsley wasn't imploding right now.
Well, I was laughing at when they kept bringing up, 75 or whatever percentage of Game 1 winners wins the 3-game series. Whatever. I'm like,
well, I'd hope so.
It's like, how do you guys know that one? Because I get it, they probably had 3-game series back then. But I'm like, this is the first year they're doing this. So unless you're talking about like the regular season 3-game series, like, where are you pulling these numbers from? Because this is the first year of this format.
Yeah, that's where you hit them with the. Did you know teams that win the series 100% of the time? This is airtight logic right there. Alrighty, well, I don't think we have any more tangents to go off on, so that'll do it. As always, we thank everyone who stuck around with us for our recapping and discussion here. For always, Andrew Santangelo, Connor Gray, who was here earlier, I'm Cade Kennedy. If you want to follow us live on Twitch to see these shows when they happen, feel free to hit that follow button on twitch.tv/NWTV7. If you want to follow us when we go live a different way, you can follow our Facebook or Twitter or even an Instagram at NWTV7. If you're watching this on YouTube and you've made it this far, as always, thank you. We appreciate it for you sticking with us, watching the entire nearly hour-and-a-half show. But as always, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below. If you have a different opinion than Andrew and I, or Connor as well, have your own opinion. Disagree, agree, whatever you want to do, that's what that comment section is there for. So, until next time, everybody, have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. One of those rare Wednesday streams we got to do because of how busy we are this week. So, until tomorrow, have a great one, everybody.